Good morning, world. Cece here. You don't have to react to everything. And honestly, that took me a very long time to learn. Because for most of my life, if something happened around me, I felt like I needed to respond to it immediately. The text message, the rude comment, the disagreement, the bad driver, the negative post online, criticism, the drama, the stress. Everything felt urgent. Everything felt personal. Everything felt like it deserved my emotional attention. But at some point, I started realizing something. Just because something grabs your attention doesn't mean your energy deserves the time. And there's a huge difference between those two things. Because some people are emotionally exhausted. Not because life is impossible, but because they react to everything. Every opinion, inconvenience, every mood, every notification, every little disruption to their peace. And after a while, your nervous system never gets a break. You stay emotionally on all the time. And eventually, that constant reaction mode becomes your normal state. Now listen, I'm not saying you should, become cold. I'm not saying ignore problems. And I'm definitely not saying people should allow disrespect or abuse. I'm just saying we need to become more intentional about what deserves access to our emotional energy. Because not every situation deserves your peace or attention or an explanation, and especially your anger. Some things just don't deserve a response. And I'll be honest, this has been a huge lesson for me personally. I've talked before about being a recovering control freak, and for a long time, I felt like I needed to react to everything. Actually, not just react, and also respond. And in my mind, those felt like the same thing. If something happened, I thought I needed to, fix it or explain it or manage it or respond to it, emotionally engage to it. That's the big one. Because somehow I thought that meant I was being responsible. But now, as I've started slowing down more, listening more, observing more, I can actually see the same pattern in other people sometimes. And it's strange, because now when I see it, I quietly think to myself, that's not the kind of life I want to live anymore. Not because those people are bad or I was bad, not because they're wrong, but because I know how exhausting it feels to constantly carry the emotional weight of everything around you. And one of the hardest parts is sometimes you wish you could explain that to people. You wish you could help them see it. But you also realize that journey has to happen in its own time. Because awareness can't be forced. People usually see it when they're finally ready to see it. That was what happened for me. And honestly, that realization brought me a lot more peace too. Silence is sometimes emotional maturity. Not every text message needs an immediate reply. Not every disagreement needs to become an argument. Not every criticism deserves a defense. Not every opinion deserves space in your mind for 3 days, or 10 years, or a lifetime. And I think social media made this even harder for people because, we're exposed to everybody's opinions and outrage and drama, everybody's emotional state all day long. It's exhausting. And if you're not careful, we slowly train ourselves to emotionally react to everything we see. And I'll give you another personal example. Years ago, if something upset me, I would replay it in my head constantly. What I should have said, what they meant, why they reacted that way. And meanwhile, the other person probably moved on hours ago. But I still, carrying it emotionally. And eventually I realized a lot of peace comes from deciding what no longer deserves your mental replay. Because attention is energy. And where your attention goes, your emotional energy flows. So if your attention is constantly attached to negativity, conflict, drama, anger, stress, your body eventually starts living there emotionally. And that's not peace. That's survival mode. One of the healthiest things I've learned is how to say, that's not mine to carry. Whew, that's a big one. Because not every emotional situation belongs to you. Not every bad mood in the room belongs to you. Not every problem needs your emotional involvement. And protecting your peace sometimes means not attending every emotional argument you're invited to. That doesn't make you weak. Sometimes it makes you wiser. Because calm people are not calm because life is perfect. They're calm because they became more selective and to what they, give their energy to. And that changes everything. Because once you stop reacting to everything and everyone, you finally have energy left for the important things, like healing and creativity and joy and rest and presence and, real connection. And honestly, life feels lighter. Not because problems disappear, but because you stop carrying every single one of them emotionally. So next time something tries to pull you into stress, pause for a second and ask yourself, does this truly deserve my peace? And if the answer is no, let it pass. Not everything deserves a reaction. Some things simply deserve less access to you or at a later time. So as always, take care of your mind and the rest has a better chance of falling into place. Until next time, this is Cece, and this is Cece Talks Live, real talk, real life.